Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. It's Daniel checking back in with a new video and a new topic. Today, I wanted to talk about my questionable behavior when I was younger, and I was like a degenerate. I lived like a degenerate fool, chasing after petty, petty things when I was younger. For a long time, when I was on drugs, I was I was really apathetic and not focused on anything, just a drug addict, chasing a high. So I would do whatever, and I chose to sell drugs to get by and try to make money. And I did drugs and sold drugs, but I tried to get a crazy check, and I did get a crazy check for a while. And I was on disability for mental illness, which was, at the time, I kind of rationalized it and made it seem like how do you say, it was justified, and I would make up reasons to to justify it because I was awkward and I was on drugs, and I just would go to doctors to try to get drugs and manipulate the system and get my diagnosis of mental illness. And it was almost like a form of victimization or victimhood, whatever you want to call it. But it was a mindset, maybe. How would you say? It was a bad way of living. I was kind of desperate. You're a drug addict, so you're reaching out for ways to support yourself, because when you're a drug addict, you can't really hold down a job, and you're just trying to grab at everything you can, and you're desperate, and you're trying to make things happen, and you'll go out and you'll steal and you'll rob and you'll justify it. You got to get high. So for like 10 years I did that. I just stayed in that cycle, that vicious cycle of getting high and settling for just getting by, and not really getting anywhere, just hanging out with just low life people that were bad for me, that didn't help me because they were drug addicts too, and they don't care about anything. They're gonna steal from you too to go get high. So it was just a lot of toxicity in the city. Yeah. Toxicity in my life. So I stayed in that place. I stayed in toxicity. Like I wallowed in it. I embraced it, the darkness, and was miserable. I didn't know how to escape. I just thought this was how I had to live, and I settled for less, a lot less in life, and I didn't know how to get out. I just thought this was how it was supposed to be. I was a drug addict, and I got in trouble, so it's harder to find work because I had a background. I had criminal charges on my background, and so it became even more. It became even harder to get by. I just kept painting myself farther into a corner. With every choice, it just got worse and worse. You go from regular weed and then move on to hardcore drugs, and then try to just manipulate the system and get a crazy check. And I had a problem with emotional problems, and I was on drugs, so everybody has that. And then I thought I had a mental illness, and then I just went and got a diagnosis of mental illness, and I was in that place for a long time, just going to doctors and trying to get drugs for that, and get drugs for recreational use, or pain meds to use and get high, and then buy them on the street and get money however I could by selling drugs and stealing, and just floating through life for like 10 good years, in and out of jail, probation, and working, not really working, just off and on working, just hanging out in the hood, running around with the scrubs and the other drug addicts, and just hanging out in the shadiest of places, the shady babies, so-called shady babies, I like to call them. But eventually, I got tired of it. I got tired of being a loser and a user and being miserable. I wanted something more. It's never going to settle. You're never going to have anything worth having. No self-confidence, no self-esteem. You're just a zombie, a walking zombie. You're a degenerate fool. You're how do they call that? They call it not just a degenerate, but you're also unemployable. It's another D word. Never think of it. I always having trouble with this word. Derelict. You become derelict. Unemployable. Your life is unmanageable, and they call that dereliction. You're stuck in this weird place. It's almost like what else is that other word? Starts with a P. I'm just bad with words. I know the words. I'm bad at my memory is not that good. I did a lot of drugs for a long time, but you're stuck in not a paradigm, but a purgatory. You're stuck in purgatory almost in life. With dereliction, you can't get out of that place. Every drug addict, a lot of drug addicts go through this. They put themselves in this place, and you feel good about your situation, but it's not a good place to be in, because you can't do anything to make it better. You're just constantly numbing yourself to the pain, but you need to wake up to try to escape. So for a long time, I put myself in that place, and I wanted to blame everybody. I wanted to blame the situation, growing up poor, growing up without a father, growing up in the hood, people that did me wrong. Wanted to blame other people. But the real change came when I started listening to audiobooks and on listening to stuff like Brian Tracy and No Excuses by Brian Tracy, and stuff like Jordan Peterson. It changed my way of thinking. Even at the time I was on drugs and I was still going through it. I knew I wasn't happy and I had to do something. So I knew I wouldn't be happy on drugs, so I focused getting clean, and then But I got clean and sober. That was half the battle. It was like there was still a lot of damage done. It was hard to heal from all that damage for so long. The emotional damage and all the trauma and pain from all that time. It took its toll. And I got hurt by a lot of people, so I didn't trust anybody. And I still struggle with that, but I wasn't truly happy on drugs and getting enough money just to get by. So I had to realize it would never get better. I realized that even if I was broke, I didn't care if I was broke. I would be happy, more happy broke and sober, or homeless and sober, more happy homeless and sober than I would on drugs and being numbed and to everything in a fake reality, almost like you live in a false reality. You live in a false reality, and you need to change your reality and your identity. So it might have been a midlife crisis kind of thing, or a wake up to Jesus moment. But I'm not religious. I grew up religious, but grew up around religion, but I don't, and I tried to practice it, but I don't embrace it that much because it's just too extreme of thinking for me. But I had to change, so I did. I just let go of chasing after drugs, and after I went to rehab, and I let go of the people in my life. Slowly I started cutting everybody out, and then I cut everybody out at a point so I could focus on some goals. I didn't realize how hard it was to get these goals, but I wasn't happy the whole time I was on drugs there for 10 years. I wasn't happy at all. I'm more happy. I was more happy after I got off drugs and I was broke than I was for 10 years. I was more happy after I achieved one big goal within a year. I was more happy about that than I ever was on drugs and running around with people and getting high and doing dumb shit. 'Cause I wasn't getting anywhere. I didn't have any focus or drive. So you're not making accomplishment, or you're not getting anywhere, you're gonna be miserable. So I got taken off of, or I stopped going to the doctor for mental illness. This is hard to talk about. I cringe when I watch myself on video too. It's not it's not good. I'm not good at making videos. I'm sorry. I don't pump out a lot of videos, but I try to give some value in the content, so you appreciate it maybe a little more. But I stopped going to the doctor for mental illness, and I stopped going to doctors for drugs and buying them on the streets. And after I went to rehab, I got sober. I was still going to the doctor for mental illness, but I was on a check. But I stopped going to the doctor for like, I don't know, a few months, maybe 6 months to a year. Stopped going, and so disability found out about it, that you gotta report your progress to them. They kicked me off of disability, so I didn't have any money and I was broke. But I had like a little side hustle selling things online. Started getting into that. So I was making all right money just to get by, but it wasn't that good of money. But I was more happy, a lot more happy, because I was living life on my terms and not settling for an outside belief that really wasn't me. It was I might had problems socializing and stuff, and blew it up, or exaggerated my thinking and my behavior, and made myself look bad, and actually embraced the mental illness that I really didn't have. And even if it I suffered from it, I could still function, and it wasn't better for me to embrace that title. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you being on disability, because it's not enough to survive, and you'd be better working. You'd be better off not using that title and not collecting SSI. Most of them people, they have, I know it's a real condition, it might be a real condition, but to me, I think it's better to try to go without the help, because it seemed like the help they give, it only makes it worse. And I know that's probably going to piss some people off. I know it sounds a little messed up, but that's how I feel. It's my opinion. I think that all that time I spent in the mental illness treatment, it didn't help me. I might not have had the mental illness, or I might have the mental illness, but it still I didn't get better. Maybe the drug addiction was part of the reason, but a lot of it didn't help. Even when I got sober, so I just chose to leave, try to live life more honestly, and be more transparent. Even if you suffer a little bit, everybody's suffering. It doesn't matter. It's not that big a difference. You're gonna suffer. You can stop trying to be stop trying to be stop trying to exaggerate your situation and make it worse, because it didn't help having that treatment. But I felt like I wanted a more positive life, and I wanted a more honest and happy life. Something I could do, even if it's not great life. It's not gonna be super great because I did a lot of damage. I could still create something that might make me happy. And the way it's pretty hard to get by out here now, because America is like really messed up, and my opportunities aren't that great, but I've been getting by. I still have opportunities, even though I've been struggling. I've had a little bit of help, and it's not that bad considering the things I've gone through. So I hope this helps somebody if they listen. That's all I'm trying to do, is share my story and hope that it can help somebody. I kind of enjoy vlogging and talking about some of the problems I've had, and hopes it helps somebody, and hope they learn something that can help them in some way, or they can relate. But I gave up all that stuff like 8 years ago. I've been doing me for a long time. I haven't made a lot of progress, but considering where I came from, I was at the bottom of the bottom, and it's been a long road. So I knew it was going to be hard, but it's been a lot better life. A lot better, a lot more worth living, My life has been a lot more. I've been a lot more happier. Been a lot more exciting. I've done some pretty interesting stuff. Pretty amazing stuff. I was like amazed myself with some of the things I've done within these last few years. I went back to college. I went to truck driving. I got my Class A license. I went got my Merchant Mariner credential, and done some cool stuff that I would have never done. I would have never even thought about back in the day that I could do. It wasn't on my radar. I didn't know, but nothing was on my radar. I was just oblivious. I was in oblivion. But you have to reach for something better. You have to strive for something better. That's basically what I've been doing, trying to strive for a better life. And it's been hard. I've been struggling, but I keep juggling. I keep hustling and trying to push it to the limit. So things have been changing slowly for the better. I'm starting to feel a little more confident. I struggle with that a lot too, but I'm feeling more confident about my situation. I feel like you need to be humble and realize what you can do. So I'm trying to embrace that part of me that's hard to that I know I'm not great. I'm not gonna be super great, but I'm good enough to make it somewhere good. I might not be great and super successful, but I could make it somewhere good if I keep working at it. But that's about it for this video. I will see you in the next one.